Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for a poetry discussion that will take place in two separate playlists here on the channel. The number one playlist, obviously, being the poetry discussion playlist, which will be hitting 100 videos sometime in the next couple months, I think. But number two, we're doing a poetry discussion every night of the month here in April 2021 to celebrate National Poetry Month. And it is something I'm thinking about making a yearly thing here on the channel, so long as I run the channel, so long as I am kicking, as it were. And so I have Mondays are Langston Hughes, right? I don't know why I still have to check this. Monday are Langston Hughes, Tuesday Sylvia Plath, that's what we're here for today. Wednesday Charles Bukowski, Thursday Emily Dickinson, Friday another Charles Bukowski, Saturday Robert Frost, and Sunday providing a catch-all type of day. Bukowski and Dickinson, two of my favorite poets, which are taking up roughly half of the work week here. So I figured I should give myself a challenge, as Robert Frost is someone that I am growing fond of, and Langston Hughes was one of my first favorite poets. So Sylvia Plath is it, man. Sylvia Plath is a poet that has always given me fits. I can read in fits and starts, and a lot of it just doesn't make sense to me. But what we're doing tonight, I work overnights. You may have heard me mention that before, much in the way that I may have mentioned that I'm an atheist, much in the way that people may have mentioned that they do CrossFit. You know, people may mention that they're vegans. Okay, people who work night shift always talk about it. We have to mention it. Why? Because it's a lifestyle, man. So we are here to read the poem from Sylvia Plath titled Night Shift and discuss it. Night Shift. It was not a heart beating, that muted boom, that clangor far off, not blood in the ears drumming up any fever to impose on the evening. The noise came from outside, a metal detonating, native evidently to these stilled suburbs. Nobody startled at it, though the sound shook the ground with its pounding. It took root at my coming till the thudding source exposed. Confounded, inept guesswork, framed in windows of main streets, silver factory, immense hammers hoisted, wheels turning stalled, let fall their vertical tonnage of metal and wood, stunned the marrow, men in white undershirts circled, tending without stop those greased machines, tending without stop the blunt, indefatigable fact. I think a lot of the commentary circling around this poem is probably about what's right on the nose here, namely work. And I think there are conflicting natural tendencies with this poem. Number one, the natural tendency to comment on exactly what the poem is about. It seems to be about the alienation of people from their work. Men, in this case. The alienation of men from the product of their labors. That's Marxism, baby. That would be a natural tendency. Another natural tendency is a natural tendency towards poetry, I think, in general, which is to sexualize or romanticize poetry. Not romanticize as in, oh, isn't poetry great, but romanticize poetry as in the meaning of the poem is something towards intimacy or sexualization. I think, again, with Sylvia Plath, the second is the tendency towards sexualization or romanticization is a tendency which trips people up all too often in speaking about Sylvia Plath's poems. But here I think that's what's at play. I don't think that the Marxist idea of, oh, well, this is obviously about, you know, people becoming numb to their work life, people working somewhere that is so foreign to what it means to be alive, working in a factory. Here it is, where is it? silver factory. Main Street's silver factory. I don't know what you do in a silver factory. You're not making silver, but what we're doing here is taking something natural. So maybe we're pressing silver. Maybe we are stamping silver. Maybe we are coining silver, minting silver. In this case, what we're doing is taking something natural and making it unnatural, making it man-made. That is what we're doing at factories in general. We are making something man-made. Factories are not bringing out the inner beauty of something natural. It's not an emerald polishing factory. So that would be clear enough a commentary for a poem, that we are becoming more and more removed from our labors, more and more removed from what it means to live a natural existence. But I think there's a lot more at play here. Number one, night shift. The title itself. Now, it is unnatural. It is unnatural to work overnights. It kills you. It is murder. You can go down the list of, for example, types of cancers, and there is an increased prevalence of that type of cancer in people who work overnights. Diabetes, being overweight, being addicted to drugs, being addicted to tobacco, all of these things, they increase exponentially. Not exponentially, but you know what I'm saying, among people who work overnights. It is unnatural. It is an unnatural way to live. Your eyelids are only so thick, and it therefore has health consequences. Okay, so that could still be a commentary on, the removal, the distance between a person and his labor. Could be, sure. I'll allow it. But there's another thing here. These stilled suburbs, nobody startled at it, though the sound shook the ground with its pounding. It took root at my coming, till the thudding source exposed, confounded, inept guesswork, framed in the windows of Main Street's silver factory. Why bring up the suburbs? Why bring up the suburbs? If we're talking about night shift and we're talking about the suburbs, we're talking about where most people are asleep at that time. There's no reason to bring up the suburbs. I don't think in this poem there's any reason to bring up the suburbs unless it is a part of the commentary. It is to put the suburbs in your mind's eye. Your mind's eye including all of the places where people sleep. All of the places where people sleep during the night shift. And then, okay, so surely, I mean, we could understand that being part of removing someone from their normal life to the workplace. So you mentioned their home life, yada, yada, yada. But the night shift, that seems pretty sexual, I think. Night shift, reminding people of their bed while in the middle of the night, okay. The place where they sleep, middle of the night, okay. But then there's that really obvious line break here. It took root at my coming. Hard to slip that one past. Pretty on the nose there. It took root. Taking root. Root is a slang term for the male genitalia. Taking root is a slang term for sex. It took root. What took root? It took the root at my coming. You got to give me that one. You got to give me that one. I don't care if you see it there or not. You've got to give me that one. That is a strange line break for a poet so skilled as Sylvia Plath to not be implying something sexual. And then that last bit of the poem here, the last two stanzas. Hammers hoisted, wheels turning, stalled, let fall their vertical tonnage of metal and wood, stunned the marrow. Men in white undershirts circled, tending without stop those greased machines, tending without stop the blunt, indefatigable fact. Nothing overtly sexual about hammering. Something pretty sexual about pounding. Something pretty sexual about mentioning scores of men with their wood in the air pounding. Something fairly sexual about mentioning undergarments. You're not talking about their shirts, you're talking about their undershirts for some reason. Tending without stop those greased machines. Tending without stop the blunt, indefatigable fact. So this seems to me to be a commentary on the distance between a man and his wife, as opposed to a man and his labor. These men trying every night, scores of men trying every night their hardest labor and getting nowhere really, because they don't actually know the machines that they're working. They just go to work and do their duty. They're not taking the time to learn these machines. They're going out and finding them and putting in labor, not love, labor. That seems to be the commentary behind this poem, Night Shift, which comes to us from Sylvia Plath here on a Tuesday. Now, I have a poetry discussion every day of the month this month in celebration of National Poetry Month 2021. I also have new videos on the channel Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on normal times. Mondays being for poetry. But this month, like I said, every day is poetry. But I also have new videos on my personal channel every once in a while. I've fallen off a little bit lately, I apologize. But there will be a link to that channel in the description below. I hope to see you over there as well.